Hello, students. In this video, we're going on an exciting adventure into the wonderful world of numbers. You may not realize it, but numbers are everywhere. From counting apples to playing your favorite games, numbers are always around us. To start, have you ever played Snakes and Ladders? It's such a fun game. You're playing with numbers every time you roll the dice. Let's kick things off with a fun idea. Did you know that every number has a friend that comes right after it and one that comes right before it? These are called the successor and predecessor. For example, the number that comes right after 5 is 6, so we say that 6 is the successor of 5. And if we think about the number right before 5, it's 4. So 4 is the predecessor of 5. Now let's talk about natural and whole numbers. Natural numbers are the ones we use when we're counting, 1, 2, 3, and so on. But what happens when we want to include 0? That's when we start talking about whole numbers, which are just like natural numbers but with a 0 in the mix. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And the list goes on. We can also do all sorts of fun things with whole numbers, like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. If you add two whole numbers together, the answer is always another whole number. This is called the closure property. If you switch the order of the numbers, you still get the same answer. For example, 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Both give you 5. And have you ever noticed that when you add 0 to any number, the number stays exactly the same? Now subtraction works a little differently. You have to be careful with the order here. For instance, 10 minus 5 is very different from 5 minus 10. But just like with addition, subtracting 0 from any number won't change it at all. Let's move on to multiplication, another exciting way to play with numbers. When you multiply two numbers, just like with addition, you can change the order and still get the same result. And multiplying anything by 0 always gives you 0. But when you multiply by 1, it stays the same. One of the coolest things about multiplication is something called the distributive property. This means you can break things up and still get the same answer. For example, 2 into 3 plus 4 in 2 into 3 plus 2 into 4. Now let's talk about division. Division is when you take a number and split it into equal parts. But be careful. If you try to divide by 0, the result is undefined. Now that we've had some fun with operations, have you ever heard of even and odd numbers? Even numbers like 2, 4, and 6 can be divided by 2 with no leftovers. Odd numbers, on the other hand, like 1, 3, and 5, can't be divided by 2 evenly. There's always a little bit left over. Then we have prime numbers. These are the numbers that only have two factors, 1 and themselves. Numbers like 2, 3, 5, and 7 are all prime numbers. And there are also coprimes. These are two numbers that don't share any common factors other than 1, like the numbers 3 and 4. And here's twin primes. These are pairs of prime numbers that are only two numbers apart, like 3 and 5 or 11 and 13. Next is a perfect number. It's a number where if you add up all its divisors, the sum equals double the number itself. For example, 6 is a perfect number because its divisors, 1, 2, 3, and 6, add up to 12, which is twice as much as 6. Let's not forget about division. Every time we divide, we have four important parts. The dividend, the number you want to divide. The divisor, the number you're dividing by. The quotient, the answer. And the remainder, what's left over, if anything. This relationship looks like this. Dividend equals divisor into quotient plus remainder. Speaking of division, there are some tricks called divisibility tests that help you quickly figure out if a number can be divided by another number. For example, if a number ends in 0 or 5, you know it's divisible by 5. And if the last digit is even, it's divisible by 2. Move on to the prime factorization, where we break a number down into its prime factors. For example, 48 equals 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 3. It's like breaking numbers down to their building blocks. Finally, let's wrap up with the highest common factor, HCF, and the least common multiple, LCM. The HCF is the biggest number that can divide two numbers without leaving a remainder, and the LCM is the smallest number that both numbers can divide evenly into. Now, before we wrap things up, let me ask you a quick question. What's the smallest number that can be evenly divided by both 4 and 6? Share your answer in the comments below. The complete curriculum for Class 6 is available on our channel. Check out all the links provided in the description below. Please make sure to like, share, and comment for more such videos.